Uncle Dennis? Please come. Hurry. I'm hungry. It's dark. The voice cracked through static like glass shattering in my ear. Then silence. No breath, no goodbye. Just the hum of a dead line. For a second, I didn't even move. My brain refused to believe what I just heard. Lila, my 6-year-old niece. Her voice thin, trembling, swallowed by thunder. I called back. No answer. Tried again. Nothing. I dialed my parents' house, where she was supposed to be safe. Voicemail. Again. That's when panic hit. Not the kind that shouts. The kind that crawls up from your spine and crushes your lungs. I grabbed my keys, flashlight, and raincoat and was out the door before I even realized I'd left the stove on. Outside, the sky was tearing itself apart. Rain slammed against my face as I sprinted toward the truck. The streets were rivers. Every lightning strike lit up the world in fragments. Mailboxes, trees, the reflection of my own fear in the windshield. Hold on, Lila, I whispered, gripping the wheel until my knuckles went white. Hold on. The drive to my parents' house usually took 20 minutes. That night it felt like an hour inside a nightmare. The radio buzzed with nothing but storm static. Every sound made me imagine her voice again, locked, hungry, whispering my name in the dark. When I turned into the cul-de-sac, their house sat in perfect, impossible stillness. No porch light, no movement, just rain sliding off the white fence in silver sheets. Too calm for what I just heard. I slammed the truck door and ran up the steps. Lila! My fists pounded against the door. No response. I tried the handle, locked. Lightning cracked overhead, bright enough to blind. Through that flash I saw it. The small kitchen window near the back. Half rotted, the old frame warped with years of rain. I didn't think twice. I hit it with my sleeve-covered arm until the glass gave way. It shattered in a muffled crash, lost inside the storm's roar. I climbed through, landing hard on the cold tile. The air inside was thick and wrong, stale, sour, quiet in a way that felt unnatural. My flashlight beam swept across peeling wallpaper, and the shadows of family photos, smiling down from the walls, each grin now looking like a lie. Lila, my voice trembled. Nothing, only the creak of wood and the whisper of rain through the broken window. Then I saw it, a narrow door at the end of the hallway. Small, old, scratches clawed into the frame, uneven and frantic. My stomach turned. I moved closer, light shaking in my hand. A latch, on the outside, locked. I forced it open. The hinges screamed, and there she was. Lila sat curled in the corner, her yellow blanket wrapped around her knees, clutching a stuffed bunny worn thin from too much love. Her eyes met mine, wide, glassy, desperate. "Uncle," she whispered. "You came?" I dropped to my knees. My flashlight rolled away, spinning its beam around the tiny, airless room. I pulled her close. She felt weightless, fragile. She clung to my shirt and sobbed against me, the sound barely louder than the rain outside. A single paper plate lay beside her with crumbs on it. Nothing else. I wrapped my raincoat around her and whispered, "You're safe now. I've got you." When I turned to leave, the beam of light caught something on the wall. A damp note taped crooked beside the switch, ink bleeding from the moisture. I leaned in. The words were barely legible, but what I could read made my blood freeze. "Don't feed her. Don't open until Sunday." My heart stopped. Sunday was still 2 days away. Thunder cracked so loud it shook the walls, and in that blinding flash of light I understood. This wasn't a mistake. This was done on purpose. Rain beat down like bullets as I ran to the truck, Lila shivering in my arms. She didn't speak, just held on tighter, her tiny hands clutching my soaked shirt as if she thought I'd vanished too. I laid her on the seat, wrapped her in my jacket, and blasted the heat. Her lips were pale, eyes red from crying. "Who locked you in there?" I asked softly, turning to check her seatbelt. She shook her head, tears spilling again. "Grandma said. It was for my safety." Her voice cracked on that last word. "Safety?" I stared at her for a long second. My parents, the same people who raised me on bedtime stories and kindness, locked a 6-year-old in a room and left her with crumbs. It didn't make sense. None of it did. I grabbed my phone and called my mom again. Straight to voicemail. Dad too. No signal. The storm was tearing the towers apart. I pressed the gas hard. The truck's tires spun against the water before gripping, throwing a wave of mud behind us. "Stay with me, okay?" I said, one hand on the wheel, the other brushing her forehead. She was burning up. 10 minutes later, I pulled up to the small clinic by the edge of town, the only one with lights still flickering despite the blackout. I kicked the door open, yelling for help. Nurses rushed over, voices blending into panic and orders. They took her from my arms, laid her on a stretcher, checked her pulse, temperature, blood sugar, all in seconds. I stood there, drenched, shaking, my mind still stuck on that note. Don't feed her. Don't open until Sunday. What kind of human writes that? Sir? A doctor in a raincoat turned to me, pulling his mask down. You're her guardian? I'm her uncle, I said. Where are my parents? They should have been with her. He frowned. We haven't heard from them. No one's answering at their number. Something twisted in my gut. He lowered his voice. When did you last see them? Last weekend. They said they were taking her for the week. Family time. The doctor nodded slowly, then said something that made my knees go weak. She's severely dehydrated, malnourished. Looks like she hasn't eaten in days. We also found traces of something strange. I froze. Strange? He hesitated. A sedative. Low dosage, but enough to keep her drowsy. The words hit like thunder all over again. Sedative. Someone had drugged her. He continued. We'll keep her here overnight. But I think you should contact the police. Police. My mind was too fogged for logic, too full of rage and disbelief to think clearly. I just want her safe, I said. That's all. The doctor nodded and walked off, leaving me staring at the little window where I could see Lila sleeping, an IV hooked to her hand. Outside, the rain was calming, soft now but endless. That's when my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I answered fast. Dennis, a deep voice said. Whatever you do, don't go back to that house tonight. I froze. Who is this? Silence, then a faint crackle, like someone breathing close to the mic. They lied to you, Dennis. Your parents. The line cut out. I tried calling back. Dead number. I stared at the screen, the digits fading out like ghosts. Every instinct screamed something was wrong. But worse, something wasn't over. Because when I looked up, I saw a figure standing outside through the rain-blurred glass. Tall, still, watching the clinic. And in that split second before lightning flashed, I swear I saw my father's coat. Lightning split the sky again, and for half a heartbeat, the world froze. That figure outside the clinic window didn't move, didn't flinch, just stood there, drenched in rain, coat dripping, face shadowed beneath the flicker of the parking lot light. My chest tightened. It couldn't be him. My dad couldn't be standing there, watching, after everything I just found inside that house. I pushed open the clinic door before anyone could stop me. Rain hit my face like cold glass as I stepped out into the night. Dad! I shouted, my voice carried off by the wind. No response. The man turned slightly, enough for me to catch the shape of his jaw under the streetlight. And then he walked away, not running, not hiding, just leaving, calm and slow, like he knew I'd follow. I did. My boots splashed through puddles, my flashlight bouncing off the wet pavement. The street was nearly empty. Just the hum of storm drains and the crackle of thunder rolling away. Dad! I yelled again. My voice echoed between the buildings. Then I saw it. A small folded paper under the wiper of my truck. I reached for it, heart pounding. The paper was wet, the ink bleeding, but I could still read the words. Don't trust them. She's not safe here either. For a moment I couldn't breathe. My hand trembled as I looked back toward the clinic windows. Through the glass I could still see Lila, sleeping. IV in her arm, nurses moving around her. What did he mean, not safe here? Was someone in that clinic involved? Or was this some twisted mind game from my father, the same man who might have starved a 6-year-old girl? I turned the note over. There was something else written in faded pen. A date, tomorrow night. And one word, warehouse. Before I could think, a hand gripped my shoulder. I spun around, ready to fight. It was Officer Hale, the town cop. He looked exhausted, soaked, holding a flashlight and a radio. Dennis, he said, frowning. The hospital called. You okay? I shoved the note in my pocket. I'm fine. Just thought I saw someone. Storm's messing with the lines, he said. But I got a report. Someone broke into your parents' property earlier. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you? I stared at him, heartbeat thundering. No, sir. I just came to get my niece. He nodded slowly. All right, we'll check the place again tomorrow. But Dennis, his tone changed, lower, heavier. We can't reach your folks. Their phones are off. The neighbors said they haven't seen them in 3 days. 3 days. The same number of red X's marked on that calendar. My stomach sank. He gave me a long look, then said, "If you hear from them, call me." When he left, I stood there in the rain, staring at that empty street, every nerve screaming that this was far from over. I pulled out the note again, its edges already tearing from the water, and stared at that one word. Warehouse. Was my father trying to protect Lila? Or was he luring me somewhere I shouldn't go? I went back inside, drenched to the bone. The doctor looked up from the monitor. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I lied. "Just needed air." She nodded and turned away. But as she did, I noticed her clipboard. And on it, under patient admitted by, was a name I didn't expect to see. My mother's. I froze. My mother's handwriting, her initials, her signature, filed less than 2 hours ago. But how? They were missing. No one had seen them. And yet her signature was there. Fresh ink. The pen slipped from my hand as one thought cut through the noise. She had been here tonight. And if she'd been here, maybe she never left. The rain had calmed to a slow hiss against the glass. But my heart hadn't slowed at all. That signature, my mother's, wasn't just a name. It was proof. Proof that she had been here tonight. And if she'd been here, why didn't anyone see her leave? The hall lights flickered once, long enough to paint the walls in shadow. Dr. Ellis was talking to a nurse across the corridor. I took the chance. I walked quietly to the end of the hall where the hospital's security desk sat behind glass. No one was there. The monitors hummed softly, split screens showing entrances, hallways, and the storm outside. I hesitated, then opened the side gate and stepped inside. One of the monitors caught my eye immediately. The timestamp read 10:43 p.m., an hour before I arrived. In that black and white footage, a woman entered through the emergency door. Soaked coat, hood up. Her walk was slow, steady. But then she turned slightly toward the camera. And I saw her face. It was my mother. I froze. She looked thinner than I remembered, her eyes hollow, her movements oddly mechanical, like someone half aware of what they were doing. In her hand she carried a small bag, and something else, a phone. She stopped near the nurse's desk, placed a few papers down, and spoke to someone off-screen. Then she turned her head and looked directly at the camera, not like someone caught by accident, like someone wanting to be seen. And then she mouthed something. 3 words. I leaned closer, replayed the clip, turned up the volume though it was silent feed. Her lips formed the words clear as daylight. "Don't trust anyone." I felt a chill ripple through me. And then she was gone. She walked down the hall toward the pediatric wing, the same hall where Lila was later found. I scrubbed the feed forward. 2 minutes later, another figure appeared. A man this time, broad shoulders, limping slightly. My father. He followed her path. Same direction, same wing, except he never came back out. The next recorded motion was me, breaking through those doors an hour later. My mind spun. Why would they both come here? And why leave Lila alone? I copied the footage onto a USB from the drawer. My hand shook as I slipped it into my pocket. When I turned to leave, a voice came from behind. "Can I help you?" I froze. Dr. Ellis was standing in the doorway, eyes sharp, arms folded. Rainwater dripped from her hairline like she'd just come from outside. I was checking on my niece," I stammered. "From the security room?" she asked, tilting her head slightly. Her tone was calm, but the kind of calm that hides questions. "I thought I heard something," I said. "Didn't mean to intrude." She smiled faintly. "You seem very curious, Mr. Collins." "Dennis, my last name." I hadn't told her that. "How did you know my—" "Your niece's file," she interrupted smoothly, glancing at the clipboard in her hand. "It's my job to know." But when I looked closer at the file she carried, the top corner wasn't labeled Ivy Collins. It said Project L9. She noticed where my eyes went and closed the file immediately. "Get some rest," she said quietly. "Lila's stable now. That's what matters." She walked away, her heels clicking down the hall, each sound echoing like a countdown in my chest. When I got back to Lila's room, she was asleep again, tiny fingers wrapped around her stuffed bear. But the bear looked different now. Something stiff was stitched under one of its paws, like a small square. I gently lifted it, feeling the seam tug slightly. Inside the paw, I could feel paper. I pulled my pocket knife and carefully slit the stitching open. A folded note fell into my hand. Water-stained, but legible. "They'll try to move her tomorrow. Don't let them. Trust no one in white." My throat tightened. It was my mother's handwriting. Outside, thunder rolled again, soft, distant, but heavy with meaning. Every truth I thought I knew about my family was unraveling in front of me. If my parents weren't monsters, then someone had made them look like ones. And that someone was still in this building. The storm outside had turned into a whisper. But inside that hospital room, the silence felt heavier than thunder. Machines hummed softly, monitors blinked with faint green light. Lila lay asleep, her small hand still clutching the stuffed bear I'd stitched shut again. I sat in the corner, pretending to sleep. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw my mother's face from the footage. Her lips forming those words, "Don't trust anyone." Those words echoed like a warning I hadn't fully understood yet. Around midnight, a nurse entered, checked Lila's IV, adjusted the blanket, and left. Normal, routine. Then 1 o'clock, 2. Nothing but the ticking of the wall clock and the slow, steady beep of her monitor. But then, at 3:17 a.m., the hallway light outside flickered once. A soft metallic sound followed, like the click of a door latch being picked. My eyes snapped open. The doorknob turned slowly, quietly. A shadow slipped in. Not a nurse, not Dr. Ellis. Someone taller, bulkier, dressed in scrubs but wearing gloves. Hood pulled tight, face hidden behind a surgical mask. They didn't notice me in the dark corner. They went straight to Lila. I saw their gloved hand move to the IV line, then reach under the blanket toward her wristband, the one with her name, and patient code. I stood slow, silent. My pulse thundered in my ears. They took a small black vial from their pocket and uncapped it, whispering something under their breath. The liquid shimmered faintly under the light, clear but not saline. That's when I stepped forward. "Don't touch her." The figure froze. For a second, neither of us moved. The storm outside flashed lightning through the window, revealing his face for the first time. My blood ran cold. It was Dr. Ellis's assistant, the one who had barely said a word earlier. But now his eyes looked wrong, cold, detached. "She's not safe here," he said softly, voice low and steady. "They'll come in the morning." "Who?" I demanded. He didn't answer. He simply held up a small card and slid it onto the counter before backing toward the door. "Don't follow me, Dennis," he said. "You'll only make it worse." "How do you know my name?" I shouted. He stopped, hand on the doorknob. "Because your mother told me you'd come." And then he was gone. I lunged for the door, but when I opened it, the hall was empty. No footsteps, no echo. Just the faint hum of the exit sign flickering red. I looked down at the card he'd left behind. It wasn't an ID or a key card. It was a photo. A photo of my parents standing in front of a building with the words, "Haven Research Facility, confidential access only," and written across the bottom in black ink. They didn't abandon her. They tried to save her. I felt dizzy, gripping the wall for balance. Save her? From what? Before I could process it, a soft cry came from the bed. Lila had woken up, eyes wide, clutching the bear. "Uncle Dennis," she whispered. "The lady in white said we have to leave before morning." My heart stopped. "What lady?" I asked. "The one from the picture." She pointed to the card in my hand. "She said to tell you, room B7, before sunrise." I looked down at the card again, then at the hallway beyond the door. Room B7 wasn't part of this hospital's map. It didn't exist, at least not on paper. But something told me my mother was still here. I tucked the card in my pocket, lifted Lila gently, and whispered, "Then we go now." The fluorescent lights above us flickered once, then twice. As I stepped into the hall, the intercom crackled to life. "Security alert. Unauthorized personnel detected in Wing B." And then silence. The kind of silence that tells you the truth is close, and so is the danger waiting to bury it. The hallway stretched ahead like a throat-swallowing light. The storm outside had calmed, but inside the hospital, the air felt thicker, like the walls themselves were listening. Lila's small fingers clutched my shirt as I carried her. Each step echoed off the linoleum floor, soft but deliberate, a rhythm of fear and defiance. We passed the nurse's station, empty. Phones left blinking with unanswered calls. At the far end, the light above the elevator flickered between G and B, like it was glitching or warning me. I pressed the button. The doors groaned open. The air that came out was colder, metallic. As the elevator dropped, the floor numbers blinked. 1, G, B. Then a pause. Then one more flicker, B7. No button for it, just a sudden stop. The doors slid open to darkness. I stepped out. Concrete walls. Bare pipes. a hum of generators somewhere deep in the distance. The kind of silence that doesn't belong in hospitals, the kind built for things people aren't supposed to see. Lila whimpered softly. "Uncle, it smells bad." She was right. The air was sharp, like bleach and metal. Down the hall, a faint red light pulsed over a metal door. B7. The handle was cold. I pulled it open slowly. Inside, rows of metal cabinets, dusty computers, and stacks of medical folders. Everything looked untouched for years, but the power light on one old monitor was still blinking. I set Lila on a rolling chair and turned on the screen. A password prompt appeared. Then, before I could type anything, it filled itself automatically. DM0317. My heart skipped. Those were my initials. My birthday. The screen loaded a folder labeled Project Haven, Phase 2, Subject Lila. I clicked it open. A series of medical reports scrolled past. Dates, test results, hospital logs. The first line froze me in place. Subject Lila, genetic anomaly inherited from maternal line. Immune suppression increasing. Requires isolation to prevent rejection response. I scrolled faster. Grandparents requested indefinite containment after incident with serum batch. 47. Containment method approved by Director M. Dent. That last name, Dent, my mother's maiden name. The documents blurred. My breath hitched. My mother hadn't locked Lila away to punish her. She'd been testing her. There was another folder, video logs. I opened it. The footage showed my mother in a lab coat, face pale under the fluorescent light. She looked directly into the camera. "Dennis, if you're seeing this, I failed to stop your father. He believed the experiment could save her, save us all from the decay. But she's not like the others. Her system rejects the serum." Her voice trembled. "We only locked her away to keep her alive until we could reverse it. Please believe that. Whatever happens next, trust no one at Haven." Behind her, a figure appeared on the tape, my father, turning toward her. His voice was calm, too calm. "It's not containment, Marion," he said. "It's preservation." Then static filled the screen. Lila stirred behind me, whispering, "Uncle, that's Grandma and Grandpa, right?" I turned. "Yes, sweetheart." My throat was tight. "That's them." Then a soft noise broke the air. Footsteps, coming closer. I spun toward the door. A flashlight beam cut through the darkness, landing on my chest. "Step away from the terminal, Dennis," a voice ordered. It was Dr. Ellis. 2 security officers flanked him. "Don't do this," I said. "She's just a child." Ellis sighed. "You don't understand. This isn't cruelty, it's containment. Without treatment, her immune collapse will spread." "Spread?" I snapped. "She's 6. "She's 6, he said, "and carrying a mutation we've been tracking for 3 generations. Your family volunteered for the Haven program decades ago. She's the last subject, the last one alive." My pulse pounded. "You're lying." Ellis lifted his hand slowly, holding up a vial filled with the same shimmering fluid I'd seen earlier. "I'm not here to hurt her, Dennis. I'm here to save her. The treatment's ready." He stepped closer, his voice steady, almost gentle. "You can hate your parents all you want, but they didn't abandon her. They dedicated their lives to this cure." Lila hid her face against my neck, trembling. "I don't want it," she whispered. Ellis's voice softened. "If she doesn't take it, she won't survive another month." I looked at her tiny hands gripping my jacket. The rain above had stopped now. The silence felt like judgment. And in that moment, I realized the truth wasn't simple. My parents weren't monsters. They were scientists who'd gambled everything to stop something they never should have started. But it didn't matter. Because no one was touching her again. Not like that. I reached for the laptop, yanked the power cord, and smashed the drive under my boot. Then I turned toward Ellis, eyes cold. "She's not your experiment." The lights flickered once. Then I ran, Lila in my arms, alarms exploding behind us. Red lights flashing like thunder reborn underground. The alarm lights painted the hall red. Sirens wailed. Metal doors slammed shut one by one behind me as I sprinted through the lower levels of Haven, carrying Lila tight in my arms. My breath was ragged, chest burning, but I didn't stop. She was crying softly against my shoulder, whispering, "Uncle, I'm scared." "I know, baby. I know," I whispered back, my throat trembling. "We're almost out. Just hold on." The elevator was gone. Power dead. So I ran toward the maintenance ladder. A rusted shaft stretching up into the dark like a throat to the surface. Each rung creaked under my hands as I climbed. One arm gripping Lila, the other pulling us up inch by inch. Below us, voices shouted. Flashlights swung. "Don't let him reach the top!" Someone yelled. Then gunshots. Sparks burst from the ladder rails, ringing in the narrow shaft. I kept climbing. My arms screamed, lungs on fire, but I didn't care. Not after everything I'd seen. Not after what they did to her. The final hatch was just above me. I slammed it open with my shoulder, and the first breath of fresh night air hit my face. It smelled like rain and freedom. We crawled out into the hospital courtyard. Broken lamps flickered. The storm clouds had cleared, revealing a half-moon hanging low and bruised over the city. Lila clung to my neck, whispering, "Are we safe now?" Before I could answer, a flashlight beam cut through the dark. Dr. Ellis stepped forward, soaked and exhausted, his lab coat torn, but his eyes still sharp. Behind him, a few guards hesitated, waiting for his signal. He raised his voice over the wind. "Dennis, listen to me. You don't understand what you're doing. That child." "Say her name," I shouted. The sound echoed through the yard like thunder. He blinked, caught off guard. "Lila," he said finally. "Lila is dying. Her blood is rejecting itself. Without the cure, she won't make it another week. You think you're saving her, but you're sentencing her." I stepped back, clutching her tighter. "You think I'll let you turn her into a lab rat again?" "She's not a lab rat," Ellis said softly. "She's the key to every patient we've lost, every cure we failed. Your parents died trying to protect that truth. The mutation in her blood, it's not a curse, Dennis. It's evolution." The wind howled. Lila coughed weakly against my shoulder. Her skin was pale, trembling. And suddenly I remembered my mother's last words from the tape. "Whatever happens next, trust no one at Haven." No one. But what if she'd meant not even herself? I knelt in the mud, laying Lila down gently. Her breathing was shallow, uneven. Ellis tossed the vial to me, that same shimmering liquid, glowing faintly like molten silver. "Do it yourself," he said quietly. "If you don't trust me, fine. But if you love her, don't let her fade." I stared at it. The cure, or the poison, the thing my parents built their lives around, and destroyed themselves over. Rain began to fall again, soft and slow. Each drop felt like time slipping away. Lila's tiny voice broke the silence. "Uncle Dennis, am I going to see Mommy?" I felt my heart crack in two. "No, sweetheart," I whispered. "You're going to see the stars." I looked up at the sky, dark, endless, waiting. Then at the vial. And then I made my choice. I broke the vial open, poured the glowing serum into my hand, and let it drip into her mouth drop by drop. Her body jerked once, then twice. The glow spread under her skin like lightning through glass. For a second I thought I'd killed her. Then her breathing steadied. Her color returned. The blue veins faded to gold. Ellis fell to his knees, staring in disbelief. "It worked," he whispered. "It actually—" But before he could finish, a deep rumble shook the ground beneath us. The lab below, the entire Haven facility, began to collapse. Concrete cracked. Sirens screamed. I grabbed Lila and ran as the earth split open behind us. Flames burst from the vents, swallowing the old hospital in one blinding roar. We made it to the road. I turned back just once, and watched Haven disappear into a pit of fire and smoke. Lila looked up at me with wide, glowing eyes. Her voice was soft but clear. "They can't hurt us anymore, right?" I smiled through the tears. "No, sweetheart, not anymore." She took my hand and pointed to the horizon, where the sunrise was breaking through the storm clouds. The first light hit her face, and I swore. For just a second, her eyes shimmered like gold. We walked down the empty road together, past the ruins, past the lies, toward the light. 3 months later, reports surfaced online. Collapsed facility found beneath St. Marian Hospital. Tied to secret genetic program. Called Haven. All files lost. All evidence erased. But one line from the report stayed burned into my mind. Witnesses reported seeing a man and a young girl leaving the site moments before the collapse. Their identities remain unknown. Unknown to them. But I knew. My name is Dennis Hale. And that little girl, she's my promise. My redemption. My bloodline rewritten.